Guys, I'm Mike Quist, and I'm gonna tell you how I started a business from scratch with my wife and my kids. And we started this off our kitchen table, our dining room table, because it was the same place. I'm gonna show you and tell you how we did it and how you could follow the same recipe in your life coming up. Stay tuned, enjoy the video. Guys, thank you so much. I just got out of the garden, okay? I was out there in the garden, and when I'm in the garden, I'm weed whacking, I'm using the shears. I have 7 acres in Hawaii. That is a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Have you ever tried to tame the jungle? That's what we do out there. And when I do that, I meditate. I listen to my mentors. I dwell in what I dwell on. I think about what my next moves are in life, what I need to work on, what I need to start, stop, and continue doing. I think about these things while I'm working in the garden because that's my happy place. That's really where I find the most progress in those thoughts. Whether you go to the gym, whether you go on a run, whether you drive in the car, ride your motorcycle, where is it that you stop and think? Maybe you're listening to, talk radio. Maybe you could substitute talk radio for something that works on self-improvement. Find a spot in your life that you can start these things. And in this journey that I'm about to give you right here, I don't want anything in return. I think there's a lot of value in content that isn't asking you for anything. Have you heard of marketing funnels? A marketing funnel is where you get an advertisement. I'm really good at these, by the way. You get an advertisement, and the advertisement speaks to you in a way of maybe you've Google searched recently, epoxy, for instance, or maybe you're looking at how to start an art business, or maybe you're looking at how to sell cars online. Whatever the subject matter is, Google, Facebook, the algorithms, they'll follow you in that journey and they'll help advertisers find you better, which a lot of times you appreciate it because you're searching for those things, but sometimes you get a little irritated, all right? Are you the irritated kind, or are you like me, like, I wanna see what this ad's all about. And I wanna see, most importantly, are they running an ad 2 weeks from now? Because if they are, if you get the same ad 2, 4, 6 weeks later, that means the ad is working. That's a secret. If you can reverse engineer an ad in your field that's working, maybe you can do it better. Okay, so my hope in this is not to be a marketing funnel. I'm not advertising anything to you. I listened to a quote from Denzel Washington, and I listened to this quote years ago, and I live by it. And he said, each one, teach one. When you've made a step up, reach back and help the person behind you. Help them discover maybe what it is you've discovered. And that's all I'm trying to do with this video content. So if you're here, I appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, consider doing that. I plan on bringing DIY content, DIY artistry, tips, tools, tricks to help you take your home remodeling projects to the next level. This entire channel is about helping you for free. Why? Because that's my passion. That's my passion project. That's what I enjoy doing. So that's why it is I'm doing this. My wife and I have always been entrepreneurs. We've always, most of the time, worked for ourselves, meaning we found our own customers and we worked for them. You're always working for somebody. You're always pleasing somebody. If somebody's gonna part with their credit card with some cash, that means you're working for somebody. We've always done that. And I've always appreciated doing that because we've created our own destiny. It's been very, very, very difficult. And in this video, I hope to expedite some of that for you. So I've taken down some notes. I like to do that so I don't get off track. So I hope to stay on point. And any questions that you have throughout this video, I ask you to leave them in the comment section below. Ask your questions. That will trigger new topics for future content. But I listen to people just like you're listening to me right now. If you haven't clicked off by now, congratulations, because you're about to get the content that helped my wife and I go from literally losing our homes, losing our cars, losing our job, losing our source of income, almost losing our child, to disparity in our life, almost losing our marriage. We came from there and we worked our way up step by step to, we live in Hawaii. We have taken and we were able to sell a business that we started, and we sold it for multiple 8 figures. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying that because we've now taken that investment that we sold and we've grown it even further. We haven't squandered it. I really feel very impressed and how important it is to not squander what it is you're blessed with, and we haven't. And part of the reason in doing this content is so I could try to help you if you're in those moments of despair, distress, divorce, disease, whatever it is that you're going through. Know that you got this. Okay, you can actually change your cards. You can change the situation that you're in, and that's the hope in this video. It was a pretty random video. I was listening to a guy out in the garden, and I go, you know, there's a lot of value that I can give to people if they're willing to listen, that may help them. And so I don't care about helping tens of thousands. If I do, great, but I care about helping the one. And if you find value in this content, good. That's what I'm hoping for. So that's why I'm doing this, okay? Next subject, addiction. Nothing would have happened for my wife and I had I not faced my addictions head on. If you're addicted, which we all are, we all have skeletons in the closet, but if you have addictions that you're struggling with, and you're trying to start a business, you're trying to better your life, you're trying to grow, you're gonna find that addiction is a ball and chain that's literally dragging you down. The moment that I faced my addiction and I went to a class, and the class was entitled, He Did Deliver Me from Bondage. I'm Christian, and the class talked about how Jesus Christ, through the atonement, has delivered us from bondage. And it started the process where I met, in this class in particular, it was just men, and it was a bunch of men sharing their addictions and what they're going through. And I was shocked that grown men were willing to confess this to each other. And what it is typically out in the world, if you hear that so-and-so has a problem with this, you kind of look down on them, and you kind of lose respect, or you're like, man, I don't want nothing to do with that guy. But in this setting, for some reason, it became love, man. You actually felt massive love for the person who was talking about what it is they're struggling with. Get my drill out of the way. The reason I put addiction first on my paper was because had I not faced that addiction, nothing else in my life would have progressed. I was damned. I was blocked. I was blocked from progressing. What I did is I replaced beautiful things with the triggers of that addiction. So if you are going through addiction, I encourage you to seek help. And there's help out there that's also free, okay? There's also people who love you that will help you. So I'm asking you to go get help first and foremost if you're struggling with addiction. Number 2, what is it that you're best at in life? What are you a master at? How old are you? Are you in your 20s? If you're in your 20s, keep going, man. Learn. Obsess about learning and practicing. Don't just like read a book. Do what it is you learn. Don't just watch a video. Do what it is that you learned in that video. Become a practitioner of getting better. When I was younger, I wanted to learn how to juggle. Weird, right? I learned how to juggle. We had a pool table that my dad got secondhand, and he started us a really cool game room. And my dad was absolutely blue collar. My mom and dad, hardest workers I've ever known. And it's not because I'm biased, they truly are. They're the hardest workers that ever walked the face of the earth. I'm in my shop right now, and a little something fell from the palm tree and hit my roof. So that's what that was. Anyhow, I lost track of what I was saying. What was I saying? What are you best at? So my mom and dad, super hard workers. I wanted to learn how to juggle. My dad got us this pool table. I just practiced with one ball, because juggling is when you throw a ball, you tend to because you got to throw the second one, you throw this one like too far. So I just had to learn to catch that ball just by throwing one ball and catching it. And then it was two. It was throw that ball to that hand and that ball to that hand. Boom, 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 boom. And then you got to get a third ball in there. And you're just doing that same motion over and over and over again. It was like wrestling. It's like wrestling. You learn a wrestling move, head tap, change level, shoot, underhook, push the head, throw it up, single. Okay, you learn these things by practicing. You don't just watch a video on wrestling and become a wrestler. You don't just watch a how-to book, because back then you bought books on how to learn how to juggle, but you don't learn how to juggle unless you juggle, unless you drop the ball 10,000 times. If you're in your 20s, start figuring it out what you want to do. Learn a trade, learn something of value. Create something of value, but don't, like, there are so many people with courses. I'm gonna teach you X, Y, and Z. I got a funnel and I'm gonna teach you how to make $1 million. All that information can help you. I've bought countless courses, countless amounts of information. I've studied, I've gone to events, I've listened to people 1,000 times smarter than me. You know what the best part of all of that was? Is because I parted with money, it motivated me to take action. But in all reality, they said the exact same things that they say for free. I just paid money, got on a plane, stayed in a hotel, took my wife, listened, learned, took notes, applied it, because I didn't want to waste all that time, talent, and interest. So if you don't have the time, talent, and interest right now, I got a pro tip. Everything is free right now. Maybe it's not compartmentalized. Maybe you're not getting somebody calling and checking in on you. You gotta be somebody who holds yourself accountable. And that's why getting rid of the addiction, we all know you don't get rid of an addiction. You learn to manage the triggers. When you handle that, now you're ready to take action. Now you're ready to actually start. And when you start, don't stop, because line upon line, precept upon precept, you're gonna learn a little here, you're gonna learn a little there, and you're gonna realize if you hadn't learned this way back in your 20s, when you're 42 years old, you may not have any skills, but create those skills. Learn things of value. And in my journey, it was learn things that were tangible, that people could see and touch, that beautified their number one investment in life, which was their home. I started painting houses. Actually, that's not even true. I started selling. I was in sales. I sold MLM legal insurance. I sold used cars. I sold vacuum clean. That's the hardest job I ever had. I sold vacuum cleaners, knocking on doors, door to door. Okay. I learned so much in that job. It was the hardest job ever. I hated it, but I was good at it because I learned to overcome my fears. I hated asking people for money. I hated believing that somebody would spend this, but I learned how much they love their home. So what I then did is I started selling alarm systems, door to door. I was good at door to door sales. I was personable. I'm kind of a fat, jolly guy that doesn't mind making a fool out of myself. I don't mind if you tell me no. The reason I don't mind is because I was in sports. Like, I got a full ride football scholarship. I got some confidence in that. I got some confidence in wrestling and doing really well at a high level. I got confidence, which helped me understand it's okay if somebody doesn't like me, if they slam the door in my face. But what it did is it learned me it taught me that if I hear no, it's okay. I'm going all over the place with this, but I do have notes. Trust me, but I do hope you're finding value in this. I went from sales and I learned people will part with money when you give them a good product or service. But I also learned I wanted to be in charge of what that product or service was. My wife believed in me so much. Thank you, honey. From day one, we were broke as a joke, had zero, but we were relentless workers. I would never, I was taught at a young age by my dad that it was my job to provide for the family. If my wife wanted to work, so be it. I appreciate it. I love you. But my goal was for her to be able to raise our children if she so chose. And she did. And when she chose to raise our children, that meant we went from 2 to 1 income. And I took that very, very, very seriously, to the point that I would not stop knocking doors looking for my next job as a contractor. As a contractor, you're only 3 months from unemployment unless you're booked way, way out, which you should be in this market, because nobody's working. There's a shortage of contractors. However, my wife believed in my services because she knew I wouldn't lie to a customer, that if I told them that I could do that crown molding, that I could build that cabinet, that I could paint that house, that I could tile that shower, the floor, that I could do their countertops, whatever it is we were working on, that I would do it very well. She believed in me. She was our salesperson. She was our closer. And she taught me that we should control as much of our own destiny as possible. What does this have to do with you starting a business? Well, if you're gonna start a business, what are you number one at? Fast forward, if you're not in your 20s, you're in your 30s. What did you learn in your 20s? And don't take a bunch of vacations. Don't I'm not talking, if you're in your 40s, yeah, man, come out to Hawaii and hang with me. But if you're in your 20s, get to work, man. Come on. Seriously, don't learn something. What you do today with that healthy, young, vibrant energy, that body that doesn't get a sore back as bad as you will later, get to work, man. All right, number 2. Number 3. Here we go. This is why I got to write notes. Information is free. I talked about that. Habits and rituals. What do you do in the morning when you wake up? What do you listen to? Do you look at your cell phone? Do you get involved in the drama? Do you look at Fox News? Do you look at CNBC? Do you look at the drama? Do you look at the negativity? You dwell in what you dwell on. What you put in here, you project out there. What is it that you do? Because it's all free. If you want to learn how to do a skill, if you want to learn about how to be a better salesman, if you want to learn how to be a better artist, if you want to learn how to be better as a contractor, if you want to study and become a contractor in some of the hardest states, all the information is out there. It's free. It never used to be free. Remember those 1, 2, 3 books at Home Depot? How to do electrical, how to do drywall? If you were born in the 70s, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're born in the early 80s, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're born in the 90s, you probably always had the internet. I don't know. But I do know this, it's free now. You have no excuse other than to get up and consume information that will help you one step further learn how to juggle. Okay, what I had to do when I was juggling, because I was throwing the ball all over the place. I was going here, I was going there. And I ended up getting a stool, and I had to put a bunch of pillows around that stool, because when I dropped these pool balls that I was learning to juggle, they would make massive amounts of noise when they hit the ground. So my mom would get upset with me because I was doing this till like 2, 3 in the morning, because I've always had a drive to learn and to get better and to try to be the best that I can be. Not necessarily the best in the world. I'm not that competitive. But I'm very competitive with myself. I want to set a new PR, a new personal record. Okay, I guess I am competitive. I am pretty competitive, but in a healthy way that I like meeting people better than me, because I don't want to be the best in the room. I want to learn from the best. So when I juggled, I stood on this stool, pillows around me, so that my feet couldn't move. I couldn't step off that stool. So I had to learn to throw it to prepare for the next step. When you're starting a business, I don't know how to stress this more. And guys, this is just my take on it. I'm gonna do the disclaimer. You don't have to listen to me. You can go against me all you want. But I gotta tell you that my wife and I, we did this way because of many reasons. And if you keep watching this channel, I'll tell you those reasons. But as an overview, I'm gonna tell you what worked for her and I. We were able to sell a business for multiple 8 figures that we borrowed 0 money to start and to grow. The hardest thing about doing that is inventory. To keep up with your inventory without borrowing money, because you're not gonna get a bunch of credit up front of if vendor's gonna give you material, but then you owe the vendor. So then all of your money, you feel like it's going out. We owned everything as soon as it landed in our warehouse. That was huge. We didn't borrow money. We didn't, I actually had investors reach out to me after we started. When we first started now all you know about is my epoxy business. You don't know about the other businesses that crashed and burned. You don't know about the ones that were successful, just not to the same degree. Okay? Very successful, just not to the same degree. We didn't borrow money because we learned our lesson in 2008 when the housing market crashed. It's the same thing that caused the Great Depression. They bought on margin. They bought stocks on margin. And then when the margin call happened and it was a rainy day, it wasn't the ideal circumstance, the Great Depression happened. 2008, housing crash happened. Everybody was getting loans based on stated income. And my wife and I were flipping houses and we were banking on the market to continue. We had a high interest loan knowing that we're gonna sell the house. And all of a sudden, the housing market started going down. We got caught. All of the money we invested in these homes that we were remodeling, all my money was in the tile that we just replaced. It was in the roof. It was in the windows, in multiple homes. And I went to a mentor. His name was John Panika, very good friend of my family. And John, very close with my father growing up, and he loved me. He had no reason to tell me anything other than the truth. I looked up to him because he was financially sound. He always had his ducks in a row. He was a smart guy, very, very smart guy, and still is. And John told me, Mike, you've made some bad financial moves. You swung for the moon, man. You were flipping houses. You just did it a little too late. Had you done this 2 years before, you'd be sitting high in the sky, man, right now. However, I had multiple homes that we were remodeling and we lost every single one of them. And that hurt my ego, man. That hurt my pride. I made the wrong decisions. I let my wife down. We actually told the bank hey, we're not gonna squat in the house. Here's the keys. And my parents let my wife and I move in with our 2 sons at the time. And that hurt. But my dad, man, my mom, come on, it's all good. And I actually helped them remodel their house to prep it to sell, so it became a win-win. That's another thing. If you're gonna borrow, give back. All right? Do all you can do before you hire your first employee. Don't borrow money. Do this thing where it sustains itself. Prove the concept. If you're really, really, really good at what you do and you have a product or a service that's really, really good, which don't even do this if it's not really, really good. Stop. I mean, there's so many products and services. There's so many marketing funnels. There's so many courses. There's so many things that you could part with money for right now that aren't even worth the electricity you put into your laptop to watch the webinar. There's a lot of good things, but don't be the guy who doesn't want to be here long term. Make great stuff. I listened to that in a seminar. That's another video. Have a great product. Don't borrow money. Start to show the world your product, because we can tap into the world. And here's how you do it. There goes another miniature coconut from one of the palms. Here's how you do it. You test the market. You test it with the algorithms available. If you're best suited for Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, I chose YouTube because I'm better at talking than I am writing. I'm better at demonstrating because I did home shows, because I did sales, because I was in front of people, because my brother and I did thousands of countertop jobs for Home Depot, Lowe's, Costco, Sears, Direct Buy, all the big boxes. And our customers would literally, from the truck to the install. They're following us with their eyes. I'm used to the performance. Okay, but if you suck at that, take photos. If you're a good writer, write about it. Like double down on what you're really good at. Gary Vaynerchuk, double down on what you're really good at. And I suck at spelling. I don't do a lot of writing, and when I do, I still misspell things, even though I got the red squiggly line. Like I spelled it so bad, they're like, what are you talking about? I've never tried to get better at spelling. I've gotten better at video. Okay? So why not go get a loan for your business? Why not? Why not? You can. You know, I study a lot of real estate. I listened to a mentor, and a mentor said to me, the purpose of every single business, every business on planet Earth, the purpose of the single purpose of that business is to buy real estate. I listened to that years and years ago. Then I watched the movie The Founder about Ray Kroc and McDonald's. Crazy movie, crazy business movie. You should watch it. That's a whole nother video. But why didn't we borrow money? Because we wanted the business to sustain itself. We actually followed a simple practice. We took 20% of our profits and we put it back into advertising. That way it would grow according to the scale, okay? I learned how to advertise. I learned that if I made better videos, it would convert more customers. I would get my product in more customers' hands. We had over a 50% reorder rate, meaning they loved the product. They went from their vanity to their kitchen or their floor or their shower or their desktop, whatever it was. They started doing their neighbors' homes. They started doing friends' projects. They learned how to do ocean pours. They learned how to do art. They fell in love with my product because I taught them how to do it for free. And I used YouTube to give away the information, to give it away. I didn't put any money on any video until it did really good organically, and I could blame that video on an increase of sales. And when that video had an increase of sales, I advertised it. I didn't make an ad. I used a video that converted sales organically because I was giving away so much information for free, like I am right now, that it actually proved to me with $20 that I would make $200. With a $20 investment, I would get at least one sale. How about 40? Yep, it worked at 40. What about 400? What about 4,000? We advertised out of my own pocket sometimes over $500,000 per month. Okay? The reason I did that is because it worked. But I didn't go get a loan for that $500,000 per month. I didn't do that on month 1, month 2. I did that because sales justified it because I was disciplined, okay? We learned a principle when we were younger, my wife and I. Both of us came from humble beginnings, okay? And my wife was someone who didn't care about jewelry, didn't care about the fancy car or fancy house. She didn't care about like any material really. She cared about family. She cared about purity. She cared about cleanliness and you know, what your goals were. But we learned this. We learned not to want. That's another thing. Learn not to want. The moment that you learn not to want things, you get to invest and build your business. That's part of the reason to get rid of addiction. It starts with that. Get rid of that addiction. Maybe your addiction's, you're a shopaholic, or you got to have, Catherine, you're kind of guilty of Amazon now. So if you're watching this, stop. Okay, you can keep going. You earned it. Okay. Oh, that was next. Learn not to want. See, I studied a little bit. If you don't want it, you don't have to go buy it. You get to invest in real things, real estate, real property, a golden goose, as opposed to buying the golden egg that you eat and it's gone. But if you have the goose and it lays the eggs, you get to keep enjoying that hard work that you did forever, as long as the goose is alive. All right. Reinvest into your business and learn the algorithms. See, when I started door-to-door sales, something that worked really, really good for me was I would, let's say I was painting a house in a neighborhood. I would actually go out after work, after I was done painting, and I would drop flyers about my painting business. And I gotta tell you, when somebody is advertising for themselves, and the reason I'm doing this video in nasty clothes right now, I literally just got done with my yard work. I love doing my yard work. I just got done making a lava backsplash today. Could I go hire somebody to do it? Sure I could, but do it all yourself first. You know, if you enjoy it, do it. If you don't enjoy it and you're in your 20s, do it anyways. Stop being lazy. Where was I? Reinvest into your business. If you don't count on your business being there forever, and this isn't a prelude to Stone Coat. Stone Coat is solid, but I didn't bank on it. I didn't bank on Stone Coat being here tomorrow. In fact, many times I felt like it was too good to be true. However, it was the algorithms telling me that the information that I was giving away for free was valuable. So if you have value to give, don't charge for it, give it away, and cross your fingers and hope that you get support back. And the algorithms will reward you. If you give away smoke screens, the internet, it's like peeking over a picket fence. It will tell you, because Sally talks to Johnny and Johnny talks to Joe and says that guy's full of it. Or you look at the comments and like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Invest in your business. How did we do that? We took 20% of what we did and we put it back into ads. And we did that at a small scale. And I learned that it works on YouTube and it works on Facebook. It did for me. It still does. But you know what's actually happened is, I told this, you know, we have a board. We have a board that governs Stone Coat, Polytech, all the other companies that I work with. And I was presenting to the board and I said, listen, this window, it's wide open right now. We can literally spend money on ads and you get ROI or ROS, return on ad spend, or return on investment, however you want to say it, pretty guaranteed. But recently, not too recently, a little while back, iPhone came up with some technology that blocks the algorithms from following your habits, and you don't get as good of a return on ad spend as you used to because they're just simply not as accurate. Now, do I think Zuckerberg or all the guys that run YouTube and Google aren't gonna figure out some way to do it a different way? Absolutely, it's gonna become a back and forth. But because that was put into place, which, hey, I'm cool with it. But I told him the window only is open for so long. Right now, Gary Vaynerchuk, he said, it's underpriced attention. It's like day trading attention. With ads right now, with this video, if I would have put this video out 15 years ago, I would have been one of the best business consultants on YouTube that you could find. Now there's infinite numbers. You do not have to watch me. The only reason you're watching me is because you may know my story and you know that I'm not full of it. But had I listened to my story years ago, I wouldn't have believed it. But I'm telling you this story, and I wrote a book on this story a few years back after our first year in business. Our first year after 15 years of failure, the first time that I put it online for free, I wrote a book. Now, I went to a meeting. It was with our local news company. Our local news company wanted me to advertise with them. And I was like, listen, I'm not really local, I'm national. I'm a national company. They're like, what, man, what? I go, no, and I told them the story, and it was like 6 months after things started taking off, and the guy goes, man, you need to write a book on how I made $1 million telling the truth on YouTube. That's what the consultant said. We ended up just partying as friends. I didn't do business with him, but that idea, that's why I took the meeting. I wanted to learn, all right, there's something I'm gonna learn. I always take meetings. The reason I sold my business, I took the meeting with no intention of selling my business. I wanted to know what it was worth. And I also didn't care if it sold. Therefore, I'm not gonna be a pushover because I knew the value. I digress. Let's keep going. Are you guys getting value out of this? Thumbs up. Click that button. Leave me a comment. Come on, I'm just starting out. I just started this new YouTube channel. I need your comments. I need help with the algorithm. All right. You dwell in what you dwell on. I said this earlier. Input, personal development every single day. Stop watching videos of cats playing with yarn. Stop watching reels of whatever you like. I get sucked into the reels on Facebook. I swore I'd never do TikTok, but here I am watching Facebook reels. I swear, I think it's just the exact same thing. I've actually never been on TikTok in my life, which I'm addicted to these stupid reels, but they're, gosh, ooh. Fill your brain, fill your body, fill your mind with goals and positivity, personal development. Golden goose versus the eggs. Don't cut the neck off the goose. Once you start your business and you start getting traction, people make a few mistakes. Number one, they start spending money on stupid things. Number two, they stop doing what it is. Do you know what prevent defense is? Prevent defense is when a football team thinks they're so far ahead in the game that they stop doing what brung them and they start playing way back so that they just stop the long Hail Mary pass. And all the offense has to do is do a few slants or a few maybe mid-range plays, and they're like within field goal range. And now they're in the red zone, man. And you went to prevent defense, and now you're tied up, and you let them come back in. Okay, so you don't do this in business either. Don't go back to the habits that kept you poor. Habits that keep you poor are addictions, overspending, no discipline, no budget, no plan, no goals, no data that you're studying, no measurements. If you stop these things and go for a party, you're gonna watch you go right back down to square one. You're also 90 days, my good buddy, Brandon Bradle, he says, timing beats speed and power every single day. If you hit the timing right and your business is actually gaining momentum, don't slow down. Don't go on vacation yet. Just don't do it. I know I'm gonna get flack for that. You gotta have balance. I agree, but come on, man. You haven't made it yet. And if you haven't made it yet, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep hustling. You gotta keep sprinting. You got to push. Like, I don't care who you listen to. Maybe you're gonna get other opinions, but if we would have stopped and slowed down, look at how many epoxy companies are on Amazon today versus when I started. Nobody was giving any information away. You know how many epoxy classes I took? 0. You know how many epoxy brands I bought? Every single one of them. You know how much customer service was available? 0. I couldn't call anybody. I said, we gotta put our phone number out there. We gotta teach people how to do this. Teach them how to do it for free. There were companies that wouldn't allow me to buy their product because I didn't spend thousands of dollars on their training, man. Come on, dude, you're gonna get my thousands of dollars up front? Like, if you think about it and you're thinking about investing in a course, what about using that as seed money and using the free information and testing it? There are habitual class goers, meaning like students that never stop being a student. At some point, you gotta put this into action. At some point, you have to press record. You just have to go. And stop buying more courses, stop buying more funnels, stop getting in more email lists, stop looking at other people's dreams, stop looking at how everybody else is doing it. The reason they're doing it is because they're not just sitting and learning, they're doing. You're not gonna do anything unless you do. Yes, learning is important. And I'm not talking about college. I hate college. Have you seen that new documentary on freaking student loans? The number 2 debt consumer in our entire economy is student debt. We won't even talk about that. College is good for a lot of people and a lot of trades, but it's also not good in a lot of respects too. We'll talk about that later. Next subject. Action. Look, each of these are leading into the next. That means it's kind of a well thought out thing, right? 6 hours a day. Action, 6 hours a day. I listen to a guy named Ed Mylett. Ed Mylett is an entrepreneur. Buff dude, man. That dude's ripped. And you know what he said he does is he breaks every day into 3 days. 3 6-hour days, 6, 12, 18 hours a day, he's got it scheduled. His first 6 hours is his workout, his meditation, his personal development, his, he doesn't even do anything he doesn't check his cell phone. Like whatever his regimen is, his income producing activities go here, his family goes here. It's 6 hours. He gets done in 6 hours what a normal person does in a whole day, but they're done in their 8-hour day. Then he goes on to his next day and his next day. That means he's 3x. And you and I both know, like coming into work, it takes some time to get the ball rolling, the juices flowing. There are some like there's some, some loss there. But Ed, man, he's minimum 3 times more productive than you are minimum. And I'm guessing way more than that because of how much time you waste right now. How do you get more productive in your day, your time, your schedule? You've already learned it. In that last course that you took, you learned about calendaring. You learned about income producing activities in the beginning. If you haven't, keep watching this channel, I'll teach you. And I'll teach you for free. You don't even have to pay me. I'll do it for free. Why? Because each one teach one. I believe in reaching back and helping you is going to help me. I'm in a new season of my life right now where I'm trying to better different parts of my life. I love business. I love business because of what it's equated to for me and my wife and my kids. I get to stay home and work from home and do my passion projects and make concrete backsplash over tile and countertops look like oceans. And I get to, paint art and make video content that helps people learn how to use epoxy. I get to remodel the condos we've invested in. I just invested into a property where I'm going to build a whole bunch of tree houses and I'm going to put them on Airbnb. Like, I get to do the things that I love, but I get to bring my kids along with me. And I get to mentor them just like my dad did me. If I wanted to spend time with my dad, it was in the work truck. My dad was my best friend. And my dad taught me the most important lessons in life. And that is, hard work pays off. Taught me how to be a real man. He loved my mom. Start, stop, continue. We live by this in our house. Okay, my kids and I, my wife and I, after every event, after every job, after sometimes every day, even my 5-year-old goes, Dad, we haven't done start, stop, continue. Can I go first? And he'll say, I should start doing this. I should stop doing this. I should continue doing this. And we've done that, and it helps you audit what you want to get better at, measure it. Right now, I'm trying to get in better physical shape. I need to measure what my goal is. I need to measure it every single day. I get on that scale. I do more activity. I eat less. I eat healthier. I input the good things. What about business? Okay, we're just touching on these subjects. I'm gonna make video content on each of these subjects if you show interest in this. If not, if I feel like nobody's benefiting from this, I won't do it. But if I do, I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm committed. I think I'm committed. I'm kind of half in. I'm half pregnant right now. All right, start, stop, continue. Another thing that we learned from my good buddy Scott. My good buddy Scott was in some down and out times, and he lived with us for a bit. And he taught my family one of the most valuable lessons that we still implement every day. And he learned this from his AA meetings. And it was 3 things you're grateful for and a positive I statement. What are the 3 things you're grateful for? Doesn't need to be big things or little things, or just what's on your mind right now, and tell me something positive about yourself. And doing this with my children around that dinner table, I get to, and I start with the youngest and I work our way up because I don't want my youngest to be influenced by what his brothers say. So I get to learn exactly where they're at, and I get to learn where I'm at. Gratitude is magnitude. Like, you get so much out of being grateful. And I'm guilty of this. Everything that I'm preaching, I need to consume. And I feel that there's power in me telling you this because it's gonna help me. I'm not telling you this because I've mastered any of it. My wife will testify to that. But 3 things you're grateful for and a positive I statement, that will change your life. That one piece of information was worth the electricity that you used to consume this video. Improve your self-image. High-performing people have a good self-image because they work on it. They get up in the morning, they go to the gym. They respect themselves. And I need to work on that. I've gotten out of shape. I got in really good shape, and I'm working back towards it. I have all the excuses I could give you in the world, but I'm gonna fix it. I'm dedicated to that. So improve your self-image and watch what happens. Watch what happens in your life. Right now, this I don't even know if I should tell you this, because I don't know what business are you thinking about? Why did you click on this video? Maybe you're really happy working for somebody, and that's totally cool. I'm too type A. I'm too crazy to work for anybody. I got to work for myself. If that's you, here's what I encourage you to do. I encourage you to make something. There are so many tools right now readily available to you to be able to make something, whatever field you're in, whatever you're an expert in. Like, I was talking to a guy who was drywalling my house. And this guy, he did a good job for me. He did a really good job for me on a project. And then I got another project, and I asked him for a bid, and the bid was like way more than I thought. And I'm not a guy who ever hired anybody. I always did it myself. But to maximize time, talents, and interest, I was willing to hire somebody. He was way too much. I was like, bag that, I'll do it myself. I started doing it. I did most of the project myself. He called me back and said, hey, you know what? I could do it for this. I go, well, I got most of it done, but you could do this room if it's on that same term. Yeah, sure. We became cool. And we started talking. We talked about his trade in drywall and some of the techniques and some of the things that he's learned with these trowels. And I was like, bro, you got to teach that and manufacture that. Make that trowel. Well, I don't know. Make it yourself. How? I don't know, but there's a way. Get the machine, get the tools, what do you need? My buddy Brandon and I, the slab jig that I created, think about what it is you're great at and make something. The advertising is there. If you make something great, you can get the word out. The window's open for that right now. It won't always be. Pretty soon, all the big corporations and the big companies, they will take over the ad spend on that and raise that beyond a good return on investment that you can get. A lot of people, when I talk to private investors, like, the reason people spend money in ads sometimes is just to gain market share. Bad gaining market share if I can't make a profit. I don't just want market share. I want to make a little bit of profit, gain a customer, get a reorder. Like, they used to advertise at a loss. Right now, you don't have to do that. If you make something really good, you can sell it. But you know what so many people are trying to do, because they're trying to go fast, is they're just taking crap and they're selling it. You can do that. You can absolutely do that. Guy who works with me, he wanted to implement booty covers. I'm like, dude, have you ever put those on and tried to work? Like, screw that, man. We're not selling booty covers just because we can. Okay? You can make something. What is it that you make? A good friend of mine, he makes, I've just started talking with him for a month now, and he makes these really cool enclosures for amplifiers. And I go, bro, you got to sell those. You got to, long story, but he's inundated with orders right now because he makes something. I'm not going to buy an enclosure for an amplifier. I don't play guitar, but there's a lot of people that do, and a lot of people that want a really rad amplifier enclosure that lights up with LEDs and it looks like it's a piece of stone torn through, and he uses epoxy. That's really cool, but he makes it. What can you make and create that you can scale? I'm happy to help you with that. Anybody who leaves a comment with a business idea, I'm happy to talk to you about it. I'd love to. It's my passion. I hope you enjoyed this video. My name's Mike Quist. You can visit me anytime at MikeQuist.com. I have my personal email right there. And right now we're so small, on that channel, I'll probably answer every single email that comes. Guys, if you want to connect, let's do it. I appreciate you watching to the end. Until next time, remember, and I mean this, you got this. I'll see you on the next video.